Backups are extremely important. I did discuss that a little bit already. I do backup very frequently. Backups basically are just copying your files to another computer or hard drive. So when you're saving your files, you're saving them to your system drive most likely. Things like iCloud and OneDrive from Microsoft, they use what's called a cloud backup. And so all your files actually live out in the cloud somewhere, which you're connected to the internet. So, as you're working, they will start throwing things up to the cloud. I don't use iCloud or OneDrive. I use a different software platform, but it's the same idea. Mine does an automatic backup every evening at 10 p.m. It just kicks on automatically in the background. I don't even notice it and let it go. Oftentimes, it's done before I go to bed. It's really kind of seamless. It just goes and looks at each of the drives that I assign it, and it says, back this up, put it in the cloud. But you don't even have to do anything that complicated. It's as simple as, if your files are relatively small, you can get a tiny little portable drive that's, $100 or something like that, and plug it into your computer via USB or Thunderbolt or something like that, and then just throw your files onto this drive. Just, they don't have to live on that drive. They can live on your very fast system drive. But to make a copy is a really important thing, because if you don't have a copy of that somewhere else, you're at risk of losing that data. So back up all the time, every day, make it a habit. It's going to be a very, very sad thing if you lose your project to something like hard disk corruption, or even worse, like some ransomware attack, like virus. Who the hell knows? Anything can happen to your computer. It's a very vulnerable device when it's connected to the internet. There are some benefits to putting things on the computer, but there also are some issues with volatility. Every once in a while, you'll just go and try open up a file and it won't work. And you're like, what just happened? It was working fine yesterday. I double clicked it and it just didn't start. Why? What happened? And there will be no rhyme or reason. It just maybe it, closed the program too quickly when you're trying to save, or something happened, the file got corrupted, and now you're stuck with nothing. You didn't make a backup. You're kind of stuck, you should save as early and often as you can, so that you have multiple versions of backed up files. So I'm on Little Things version 23 right here. Say I had version 23, everything went fine, I backed it up, something happened with the file, it got corrupted, and then I backed up the corrupted file. So 23 is wiped out. I can't use 23 anymore, and there's no way to get it back. Well, I have version 22, which, was 25 minutes before 23. Versioning up really makes sense at that point, because you're like, oh wow, I really saved myself there. If I was saving over the same file all the time, you're in real shit, that's gonna be a really, really bad situation for you. Technical errors can really bog you down. They don't happen that often. So let's be honest here. Computers are way, way, way more stable than they were back in the 90s. I remember working in a computer lab in college and sitting there and kind of working on my video project, and it was a room full of Mac OS 9, 1998 or something like that. There were 25 people in the room, 25 workstation. Every 5 minutes we hear, oh no, from across the room. Okay, one over here. Every 5 minutes these things were crashing. That doesn't happen anymore. We live in a much better time for computer operating systems. Windows is so much more stable than it used to be. Back in the day, it was kind of a joke. Windows 95 and Windows 98, they were awful. They would crash every time you're trying to do something. Constantly crash. Just the volatility of the technology at the time. That's not around anymore. These computers are super, super stable. Every once in a while, I'll have a software crash, but an OS crash, like a deep blue screen of death, as they used to call it in Windows, that almost never happens. It depends what's plugged into your computer. If you have some weird software with some weird hardware, and maybe it's not as compatible with the system, maybe it's poorly written. All respect to the software engineers out there, but there are some pretty bad drivers that have been written for certain hardware. It's definitely something that happens way, way infrequently. I don't remember the last time my computer crashed. I've done a lot of, stage performances with computers. I've actually had backup computers with additional, all the same software, everything set up just to step in case the computer crashed. Never had to use it. That's what you're going to be dealing with most of the time. However, you never want to worry about your files. Your files can always get corrupted. If your software crashes in the middle of it, you might lose, some work. So it's really important to version up, back up, and just not think about it, make it part of your workflow, make it part of a ritual of everything that you do every day. Just like, getting a cup of coffee in the morning, back up your files when you're done.